Hi there, Ron here, Variable Play, and welcome to another episode of Larong Atin. And today we are with Miss Ria Lu.
Hello.
Hi everyone.
Uh,
Of course, I'm joined again by Sir Freddy and Dwayne from Larong Atin. So, it is just how many days? How many days? Wait, let me just pull up our convention page.
until April 5 and 6.
Yeah, so April 5 and 6 for the ones who has not yet registered, that it is you guys can check out paycon.variableplay.com 2025. So it is 15 days. 15 days. So
Oh,
yeah,
down to the
just
second. Huh?
yes.
Yung countdown is down to the second.
Down, yes. Um, and you also might want to check out our shirts. So the shirts are super cool. Um, so we are tabletop advocates. Curious ka ba sa board games? Yan. Oh, only 12 left. Guys, paubos na siya. So please
Limited
join,
edition.
and we will be releasing also the events that are coming to Bacon. And of course, Miss Ria would be there with her game, Tailcraft, which is, we will talk about it more later in this episode. But to start, and just to get people warmed up, we normally would like to talk about the games we've recently played. And feeling ko, kaming tatlo will be talking about the same thing.
That's true. That's true.
I'm trying my
So,
best to think
so,
of something else.
so, simulan ko na. Simulan ko na yung yung, hold on. Yan, ipit natin. Yan. So, there. So, simulan ko na. We have here, Star Wars Unlimited. So, and Star Wars Unlimited, yay! And I am really enjoying it because it is so reminiscent of my. I used to play World of Warcraft TCG, and there are so many elements that are similar. It has some sort of hero, in this case a leader, different a little bit on the deck building side of things, but the permanent damage and the attack sequencing, fantastic.
Mhm.
So I really enjoy it. But I know the my other peers would also be talking about it here. So I will talk about some game that actually really reminds me of Miss Ria's game. It's called, so there's a series of it online. Now, uso sila from Critical Role. If you guys are familiar with tabletop RPG,
Mhm.
Dungeons and Dragons, they have their own lore. And so they partnered with another group, Darrington Press, and they have this sort of series around For the Queen. So For the Queen is just this deck, and it's just a bunch of cards, and it's just prompts, question prompts. Um, and it's you come up with a storyline as a group, as you're answering. At the very end, you will answer, the queen is in danger. Are you going to help her or not? And then you guys defend your answer. So the one that my friend brought is Oh My Captain. So same style, series of prompts, players just draw a card. Pero sa dulo, right before at the very end, para siyang may konting twist, which is you're measuring first, around everyone yung temperature nyo sa captain. If you're happy with the captain, not happy, middle, and depending on that, the prompt na pipiliin would change,
Hmm.
and also would tell you, and you would also have a treasure that you're trying to vie at the end, and mag-iiba din siya based on that. So yun yung konti niyang twist. But of course, it of course reminds me of Ms. Ria's game, which is Tailcraft, which is you are using the cards to craft your own adventure. So, yon ang games na nalaro ko. Dwayne, sige, you
Okay.
can you can continue with ano.
Like kasi last week ko na yun eh. To be fair, I did catch
Yeah.
in
Well,
early. So,
okay.
okay, so aside the other card game I've been playing kasi aside from Swoo is actually Magic. Diba? I'm back.
Mm.
I'm back to playing Magic, but more like kasi everyone's playing it again. I want to talk about something na medyo adjacent lang. So it
Mm-hmm.
finally came in. So one of my favorite artists, si Magali Villeneuve. Meron kasi akong ano, like a long time ago, I backed this Kickstarter for yung ano niya, playmat niya. So it actually came. This is like an art print parang counter. So it's like I have the 197th out of 400 na
Oh,
pieces.
style.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a double.
Nice. Fancy.
The playmat is there. I can't reach it. But basically, it's like
Okay.
a yung card niya sa Magic, the one that turns, yung the Planeswalker sa Modern
Right. Right.
Horizons. So it is. So yeah, medyo I have something new to flex around with. Pero I'll be using it for Star Wars. So ganun pa rin yung bagsak.
What is that? Your initiative token?
I have the playmat. So eto lang, this is
Oh,
just
okay.
an
Okay.
art print of it. Yeah. Pero pwede rin actually, now
Okay.
that you see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just that's the flex. Like, oh, I want to take initiative. Just so. Look at the art. See. Yeah,
Star
that's my
Wars talk
initiative.
talaga will
Cool.
never end. So maybe we can move on.
Sige, Sir Freddy, kayo po.
Yeah, I'll be talking about Star Wars also. Here's my Obi-Wan,
Obi-Wan.
and he's just saying hello there.
Nice.
Hello there.
Hello
Ha.
there.
Then, so yeah, we've pretty much halos lahat kami like really into it right now. Uh, it's only been in the Philippines officially, kinda, the past week. Although the game has been
Yeah.
around for a little over a year, I believe.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
pero
the
yun nga,
fourth set na,
this is
di
the
ba?
third set. Lalabas pa lang
Third
yung
set,
fourth.
third set.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
So yun, we've all been playing it. I've played 2 sealed deck tournaments so far, and from the cards I've gotten from those sealed decks, I'm trying to build my Obi-Wan deck. So yun, that's what I've
Nice.
been playing out of the past week. And then yun, that's it. How about you,
Say,
Ria?
say,
Ako naman, I've been playing a lot of there. I've been going around kasi last year to the different conventions, game conventions
mm,
mostly. I've noticed na a lot of these game conventions have tabletop components already. So I've been
Mhm.
buying these
mm,
independent little tabletop games na natutuwa ako. So I was in Taipei for the Taipei game show, and they were
mm.
Yeah.
selling this game called Cheers. So it's more casual. Hindi siya as seryoso as Star Wars, but it's like you play as a bartender, and then you basically mix drinks,
Mhm.
ganun siya. So it was fun kasi it's a game na walang words. So it's all pictures and
Oh.
so it
Mm-hmm,
was nice,
mm-hmm.
especially since it was in Chinese, diba? So it was nice na walang words yung game. So I had that. And then there's another game that I bought in Australia naman. There's a game called Drinks with Frenemies. So it's a drinking
Mm.
card. I have it here, actually. Oh, this one.
Nice, nice. Oh, cool,
Medyo
cool.
ayan, there. So it's a drinking card game. So parang friends kayo sometimes, enemies kayo sometimes, depende sa cards. Like, kind of fun thing. Tapos, it was nice because they had like different versions. They have like a normal version. They have like an explicit version. They also had like a retro version na medyo mas, it's probably for like people like us a little bit, But those are the things that I've been playing recently. So these are these little independent games that I've found in the game conventions that I've been attending recently. Ayun.
Yeah. I love finding those small obscure games kasi yeah, you never would encounter them normally. It's not in a mass distribution, so finding a bit esoteric na game, sometimes even big publishers would not bring out those into their main line, and they'll have a game lying only for convention. So nice, 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 cool, cool, cool. Okay, so just to give everyone a background, how did you get into tabletop game design? I know you also work in the video game industry, right? So how did it all start? Your love for gaming, and how why did you get into gaming?
I don't know. I think we all grew up in that. So
Ah,
When I was young, the what I started with was really the N64. So I think it started there. And then when you're young, ano pa lang, di ba? It's like laro-laro lang, ganyan, ganyan. And then the game that pushed me into the
Mm-hmm.
industry is Final Fantasy. Not 7.
Oh.
It was Final Fantasy 8 that I was playing. Tapos I was playing with my
Oh, eight.
siblings.
Okay.
I know it's not as not as popular, but anyway, so it was 8. And then this was the time na yung bago pa lang ang internet and computers and ganyan ganyan. And
Mm-hmm.
so we had the version na nasa PC, not the console version, but the PC version of Final Fantasy 8. And then so take turns kami magkakapatid to play it. And then there was one time yung hindi ko na turns. Like ako naman, sige, ikaw play. And then you just watch them and you have this they have this parang awe in their face when they're playing. Parang, oh, ganun, diba? And that's kind of what made you think, parang, oh, I want to be in that industry. I want to make people feel that. So, ayun, that's
Nice, nice.
what pushed me to that direction. Pero I
Oh.
really like stories and creation and geek culture in general, and I'm not parang tied to one particular medium. So games
Mm.
were one of the media that I liked, and it was for me anyway. During that time, it felt like the easier um, entryway into the creatives versus, let's say, animation or comics. So, and that's why I went into gaming. But I'm into stories, and that's why Tailcraft is a story creation card game.
Mm.
Um, we also play games, card games. Also, I mean, aside from the digital games, naglalaro naman din kami ng card games magkakapatid. And Tailcraft, prior to Tailcraft, we did a hindi siya card game, but it's more of like an exercise. We did an exercise similar to Tailcraft before I made it. Na pang-relax lang. It's like, I'm so stressed with school or I'm so stressed with work. Gawa tayo story. And so we would do this parang primitive form of Tailcraft back then. And then when I started my first company, which was a game company back in 2006, 2007, dun I decided what's the first game that we're going to release. You know what? We're going to release a card game that's related to stories and creating stories because this is something that we played, me and my siblings played. So ayun,
Nice, nice. So ito siya. Ito na yung new edition of
yes,
So
yes.
Tailcraft. The
Tailcraft only came out in 2006. I really thought it was earlier.
It was 2006. So was it towards the end of the year in 2006, mga
Mm,
November 2006. And
yeah.
then yeah, back then, yeah, so we sold Tailcraft back in 2006. And then yun nga, I'm in the video game industry as well, so we got busy, medyo we didn't follow up on Tailcraft anymore. Wala na naging version 2s or version 3s niyan. And then recently, last year, we decided, you know what, balik tayo. Let's go back to making card games and particularly pushing Tailcraft because we still have a lot of ideas for Tailcraft. And so
mm,
yeah,
mm,
we released the we called it the anniversary edition last year, which is
mhm.
redrawn. If you look, the art's different in this deck. Um,
Yes, yes.
and then we worked with a lot of the local artists kasi what we wanted to do also for this particular version was to also showcase the local artists. Ayun. So we asked the local artists, several local artists to actually create the game to
Yeah,
create the art.
ito yung OG niya. This is
That's
the
the one.
OG 2006 version.
Yep.
And yan. So you can see naman the design, I mean, component and system wise, I think it's still the same.
Still
Pero
the same.
it's already quite impressive, no? At almost a year to 2 decades ago.
I know. It's so strange now. No, it's actually strange ngayon kasi this is what 2006, so it's almost 20 years ago, di ba? 19 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, a year to go.
I would meet people na back then, when we first released Tailcraft, when you'd meet people, it's like, yeah, I know your game, ganyan, ganyan. Now, when you meet people, it's like, I know this. My mom bought it for me when I was young. It's like, okay, how old are you now? 20.
Okay.
Different feeling now. But anyway, Ion.
Yeah. It, and so I love the new look, definitely. And it's really expressing more of the local artists. And we have a fantastic uh, la- treasure trove of artists in the Philippines. And definitely a modern take. Parang anniversary edition talaga siya. I appreciate it. And yeah, I also bought this. I'm not sure if I bought it around 2006. Maybe a little bit later. Because I think in one of the gaming meetups, we would also would encounter you helping out the gaming community. I think we had an event here in somewhere in Valero, and so we would also attend and pasahin po. So
How I realized na, ang dami nating magagaling na artists was because Tailcraft would also get booths sa mga Comic Cons. And so doon namin nakita parang, ang dami naman palang artist dito na magagaling na let's showcase them. And that's why for this anniversary edition, we really worked with several iba-ibang artists talaga.
yeah, yeah, and it looks fantastic. It looks fantastic and exciting. And the beauty of it is it's really that sort of it is a hybrid between a game and an activity. And I noticed that a lot of these now sort of in essence, they are concepts decades ago of tabletop RPGs. A one shot, you just go through prompts and you run through. But now, may a little bit of a modern take. They would put in a little bit of art, something to encourage you more to see something that will inspire you to say and craft a story a little bit better, and it just produces a lot of funnier moments when you're playing as compared to just the old school text. Although even back then you already had art on your tailcraft, so it 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 did the card size lumaki siya.
Hindi naman sa lumaki. Actually, we changed the proportions a bit. So the old deck kasi, we really weren't following any standard size.
Right.
We just,
Yes.
whatever we wanted, which was difficult because, the card sleeves never fit. So,
Yes.
but this time we chose a size na yung one of the standard sizes na, which is the same size as a tarot card.
Right, right. 70 by 120, something like that.
Hindi
Or
ko
70
maalala.
by 110.
Yun.
Yeah.
It's still a
I,
little
I
longer than
remember
the
us
normal.
I remember us having a discussion with, lumaki ba yung card ng Tailcraft? Parang ganun eh. No? We're not sure, but it seems like it got bigger.
Actually, the box got bigger because
Right.
one of the things that we one of the comments that we had before was masyado masikip yung box. So we opted for parang yung hindi na siya tuck box. It's more of a, what do you call that? Yung box na nabubuksan,
Yeah.
two-part box now, so it's easier. So the box, it did get bigger. The cards, parang feeling ko, uh, the proportion changed slightly, but I don't think it's too far yung size from the old.
I think it just is something the size wise and the aspect ratio nga of it siguro feels that it was able to present kasi I think the old one was a little bit leaner. Mas pahaba siya, 'di ba? So it gives you that sort of slimmer look while this one gives you the more what people are used to nga na look. Yeah. So yan, we have a lot of viewers at the moment. So if you have questions with Miss Ria about gaming in general, feel free to post it in. Hello everyone. Hi Fred. Hi Desky. Hi Edwin. Hi Bob. Hello, hello. So Consumers, yeah, no, may comment na. Consumers are picky now. Demand boxes should comfortably contain cards when sleeved. Yeah.
That's true, that's
Oo.
true, and we heard them. Yun nga, yung problem with the old box was talagang because the first box kasi, the old box, our concern was gusto namin medyo siksik yung card so that it doesn't get damaged at transport. So hindi siya gumagalaw.
Mm,
The problem
mm.
is, this is, ang bilis masira ng box because nga masyadong tight. So yeah, that's why this time, so man, you know what? We'll spend on the box a little bit. We'll make it a little looser. We'll make it easier. So ayan.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yes, wala siya
when we also started, it was we were also just kind of thinking, oh, sige, paano ba yung mura na box? So we use the same card stock, things like that. And syempre, nung actual na, tapos na print na, tapos ginamit na yung game mo, tapos nakikita mo, ay, bakit nagwa-warp? Anong nangyayari? Ba't ganun? Tama naman siya nung nakapack ka. Tapos, and things you just kind of learn, oh, okay, okay. And it's also challenging, especially when you started. That was exactly almost 2 decades ago, nearly 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
Oh, si Toby's here.
Ah, Toby.
Hi, Toby. Ayan. So venturing into tabletop publishing is really quite an ordeal.
Yes,
I
I'm sure you
remember
have
when,
experienced that. I mean, you guys are in tabletop as well.
What a
yeah,
specific word to use.
bonus points daw lahat tayo white ang background. Yes.
Ay, oh.
Ayan. Go, go, Tailcraft. Yay.
Yeah.
So,
Like, just to put things into perspective, Larong Atin started 2015 and Tailcraft came out in 2016. So I remember that time kasi 2006 pala. Uh, and I remember that time because ang Neutral Grounds nagkaroon ng Tailcraft. Kaya parang sa utak ko pa nga early 2000s eh. So I didn't realize it was 2006, mid 2000s na pala. But my reference was nakikita ko siya sa shelves.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
No,
kaya
I
alam ko
know.
2000s yun eh. Yeah.
Yes.
I know because I think around that time there was also another sort of storytelling game called Once Upon a Time.
Once upon a time.
Yes, I know that
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. So I yeah, I was just perusing the store and we would play straw, yung mga sikat pa na card game noon. And then, once upon a time, and then, uy, ano to? And then, do it small, kasi nga, oh, Tailcraft Filipino, so I also bought it. So, I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in my collection.
You
Just,
know how we found out
I hope
about
I can find it.
You know how
Yeah.
I found out about Once Upon a Time? I didn't know about it actually initially, but I found out about it because they bought Tailcraft. Because at that time we had a website also wherein people from outside of the Philippines can buy. And then
Mm.
somebody bought them. Parang, uy, Once Upon a Time, sino mga to? And then we looked. It was it was a game similar to Tailcraft. Sabi ko, uy, nakakatuwa naman. So ayun.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think kasi and a lot of games are like this, no. Hindi naman sa they're it's movement kasi when you design video games, diba, you cannot patent a movement eh. You cannot tapping a card, although nagawa na nila na yung term is ng tap, hindi mo magamit, so it's called exhaust. But everybody now got it, right? But grabe naman to.
Si Desi talaga.
Oh, pero yung the OG uh, pen and paper tabletop RPGs one shot already had these concepts, and even the adventure books, diba, na you put your finger in kasi you're not sure about your decision, so you go back a few pages and then you put your finger again. So mamaya ubos na, wala na akong save state. Yun. But a lot of them would already have explored, and nakakaaliw nga when you look back at games in the 80s and the 70s and na you'll see some of their concepts going like, Actually, modern na yan eh. Ginagamit siya ngayon eh. But it's just siguro the technology and the availability of information at that time. So, minsan talagang ganun siya na parang may similarities because you're trying to describe a human behavior and then codifying it into a game mechanic. So, in essence, I need to be able to tell a story. Here's a trigger. So, let's put that into writing. Here's a set of rules how to interact. And then so, may mga konting twist na iba, which is where the designer and the author already comes into play. So, have you tried to apply Tailcraft in your video games? Is there anything that's sort of like the same, just like a video game version of Tailcraft? Is there?
We've been asked that actually over the years. Now, can you
Oh,
make a
okay,
digital version of Tailcraft? And we purposely didn't. So it was intentional that we didn't.
okay, okay.
Kasi we're already working with ano. So just so you know also, the games that we make on the digital side are not our own mostly. Most of the
Mm,
things that we do are really client work. So these are work for other
right.
people. So getting out of the digital and playing offline, tabletop, face to face, was a hinga for us. It was a
Mm,
rest for us, and so I didn't want to mix it, you know. So
right.
I
Right.
purposely did not do a digital version of Tailcraft, even if capability wise we could. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, it it's a well, one of the first games that I published is called Codes and Verses. And during the pandemic, we kind of had to like come up with a quick one that we can post online so people can play it kasi parang they don't have during the pandemic wala pa nung delivery capabilities of after pandemic eh, diba? That really rushed everything, the logistics, the supply chain suddenly changed in the Philippines and I think the rest of the world. But during that crucial moments, parang there was sabi ko, nasa akin naman yung source file lahat, lahat ng text. Let me just come up with something where you just pick on a list. And so for some time, I kind of had it online. Did you guys get to try playing Tailcraft during the pandemic, during the lockdown? Kasi it's something quite convenient eh, na kaya siyang malaro at that time.
Yeah, at that time the anniversary deck wasn't there yet. So, the only
Yes.
thing that we could play was the old ones. Wala, kanya-kanya kami. Like, in my case,
So each one has a copy.
tsaka in
Each one
my
has a
case,
copy.
right. I was stuck at home with my family. I usually play with my
Mm.
siblings now. So, it can be done. You know?
Okay, I see. Okay. Cool. All right, we have a few more comments here. So we have here Edwin. Hi, Ria. It's been a long
Hi,
time here. I
Edwin.
wonder if
Oh,
you
God,
still
it's been a
remember
long
me.
time. I do remember. He used to work for me at the first game company that I had
Ah,
that released
there you go.
Tailcraft. Oh.
Yeah, nice.
Thanks, Edwin,
Okay.
for recommending it to your friends.
Yes. Oh, we met Sir Edwin
So,
when he had
para sa mga
the
naghahanap,
cafe.
para sa mga
Yes,
naghahanap
go
ng
ahead.
games available at neutral grounds, I also believe it should be on Lazada, Shopee, Leverets as
Yeah,
also
we have a
website.
yeah, we have a website as well called Fables. So
Mhm.
fables.life. That's the
Yeah, it
URL.
should
You
should also be
Pulling
in
it up.
Toy Kingdom soon. Uh, Also, if there are retailers who currently work with Ludus who may be interested with the Tailcraft, please let us know, and then we will be more than happy to supply you with Tailcraft. Uh, I want to go back to kasi na-mention natin yung Once Upon a Time, and I think Once Upon a Time came out earlier, and so I think a lot of people probably thought that meron, medyo may inspiration, but apparently, like you said, it's more like parallel development. And
Oo.
I personally can say that Tailcraft, I'm not biased, Tailcraft is a little bit more, uh, what do you call this? More organized. Is that the correct
Mhm.
word?
Or the goals are quite different.
It is less clunky yung term na
Mm-hmm.
ginagamit namin. So less fiddly siya
Yeah.
compared sa sa Once Upon a Time because
Yeah,
the
it's more
Once Upon a Time kind of shows its age because yung concept niya kasi ng interrupt cards and how you play your cards, uh, you can kind of finish your whole hand in one phrase, which
Mhm.
kind of defeats the point, no? Kasi parang, kasi sabi niya, ang goal lang naman, maubos yung kamay. So I'm just gonna make a sentence. A dog that's blue
You,
flew in the lake. Okay,
you
I'm
can
done. Di ba?
you can
Parang,
dominate, yeah, you can dominate around kasi talaga, like got a personality wise,
yeah,
you can just take over the
yeah,
whole thing and then push, it's
yeah.
over.
So it requires players to cooperate in some sense. Although dahil nga competitive nature din sa yung kanyang design niya. So parang nagkakaroon ng conflict yung objective ng game. So I think yun yung key driver that helps Tailcraft a bit in terms of innovating how to tell the story.
Mhm. So it's a little, yung correct word pala na naisip ko is it's more structured. Tailcraft is a more
Mm.
structured game, and I would say it's not a game. It's a it's a storytelling aid for people who want to make stories in a game format. I think
Yep.
that's how I would describe it.
Yeah. Kaya
That's a
mix
good
nga siya eh. Activity and game. It's like a gamified activity. You have tools to tell the story.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
very
Uy, ang
that was
ganda.
structured. It's amazingly structured.
Yep.
thank you. Actually, that was one of the the challenges din namin when we released Tailcraft initially. Kasi especially most tabletop gamers, they expect there to be a very clear win condition. But Tailcraft is
Mhm.
not hindi ganun ka-clear ang win condition ng Tailcraft. It's more of a voting thing. So, yeah, we understood that. Although yun nga, parang we created Tailcraft kasi, or I created Tailcraft less as a yung kailangan ng black and white, less on the winning part actually, but more
Yep.
of the process itself is the happening, is the fun thing, parang ganon. So that's why, yeah, it's structured a little differently from the likes of Once Upon a Time and those other games. Although I do like Once Upon a Time anyway.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ayun.
additional way for you to get Tailcraft is at Bacon. If you're going to
Yes.
Bacon and you're willing to wait 15 more days, pick it up at Bacon. Makikita nyo rin dun si Ria. Have her sign it at the same time. Di ba?
Yep. There you
So,
go. Perfect.
yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
because Leveret will also be there. And you can, if you have no idea what Tailcraft is, medyo, you're not yet sure to if you want it or not, you can go there, try it out, and then make your decision there sa Bacon. They're also organizing events, di ba? They can sign up online for
Yes, actually, the
game
one
Tailcraft sessions.
yeah, we have a workshop coming. It's less play session, more really as a summer workshop we're doing for young people using
Mhm.
Tailcraft. So yeah, you can see it on our socials, the Tailcraft socials. So you could find it there. Ayun.
Yeah. Tell your tale, master the craft. Tailcraft. Is that the slogan for Tailcraft? No. Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Yun. Wala pa raw si Toby ng Aniv Deck. Yes.
I'll send
So,
it to you. We live in the same city anyway.
yeah. So
Diba?
mapping out ideas, fleshing it out. Yeah, I can read nga the prompts inside. The adventure type, the coquette, the gothic.
Oh.
So
So it's not quite prompts, it's more or word prompts, hindi siya talaga full
yeah,
sentence prompts. Yeah, so
right,
it's a
right, right.
combination of things,
Ano
yeah.
naman si
Yep.
Desky?
So,
Pwede
sad.
ka rin daw.
Pwede rin, pwede rin.
Pwede rin, Desky.
Young at heart, young at heart.
Yes, pwede rin yung Young
Yeah,
at Heart.
yeah. And at the I think even for a collection piece, because nga of the art and the I always appreciate when a game design is more concise. Like, it doesn't have the bells and whistles. Parang, oh, kasi I mean, art wise, like in video games, you can be super 3D with all of the flashy graphics, but then the gameplay is like, it's just shoot, right? Which is fun on its own right. But sometimes, you get surprised with things where it doesn't. There are games kasi that you don't feel the experience until you've gone through a session, and then it finally clicks. It's a different experience altogether. Like you're hitting a different brain space that you don't normally access, and I think that's the wow moments that you also get to experience in tabletop, where it's just a bunch of rules. The system that I'm providing you, I don't have an access to control the decisions you're gonna make. I'm gonna give you a set of guides, and you're gonna try to follow it, and then you're gonna go through an experience, and in the end, you gained some new thing, some new insight that you normally wouldn't have experienced if you just play the video games. Again, video games are fantastic, and you're right. It is possible to have Tailcraft online or on a mobile app. But I think it kind of defeats the point. The whole point of it
You
is
notice when they
to
play,
be
kasi Tailcraft, you have to think a little bit eh. They like touching, being able to touch the card. Some of them,
right.
we're Filipinos, we have to admit it. Mahilig tayo na, we need to smell books and cards as well. So, it's
Yes.
part of the
Yes.
experience na gano'n.
Ako, hawak ko yun eh. Lagi may finifiddle na shuffle,
And
pwede.
there,
Yeah.
Sarap.
there's something still to be said about the tactile experience when you're
Yeah.
playing games. Uh,
Yes.
and there are actually some board games that are, cannot be implemented properly on digital. The experience is just totally off. And
Yep. Yep.
recent news, Hasbro seems to have given up on the full digitization of Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
I don't know if
I
you've
don't
uh,
think Dungeons and
heard about the
Dragons.
recent news. They they
they,
they,
Personally,
they
they
were
just laid
yeah.
off 90% of the Sigil team, which was
Hmm.
responsible for
The VTT,
creating
virtual
an
tabletop
in-house
space. Hmm.
virtual tabletop space. So they kind of gave up on it. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but I guess it's probably proving to be too expensive to do it, or I don't know what the actual reason is. But
Well, I think, I mean, for the board games that are converted to video game or apps, game apps, uh, often than not, the if it's coming from a physical form into the digital form, the reasoning, at least for us
Mhm.
gamers, is because I just need a bit of convenience. I really like that
Hmm.
game, that idea, and from time to time, if I'm busy, I want a copy on my phone. I'll play it a couple of times, but it's not like I'm gonna be playing that game forever. I still wanna play it face to face because that's where the enjoyment is. It's just that pag walang choice, o yan, at least may accessible tayo, pwede tayo mag-scythe, pwede tayo um, but
Deck builders.
yung yeah, deck builders kasi nga, yay, I don't have to shuffle.
Yeah,
Pero actually it really removes so many things. Tapos pag may options ka pa to speed up the game, talagang ang dami nga natanggal.
Mm-mm.
Parang ang hirap nung ah, iba pa rin talaga yung pakiramdam. So, minsan, you'll see video games na magkakaroon ng sort of like board game
Physical.
feel. Kasi, they'll do cooperative mode. So, multiplayer kayo. Yes, it's deck building, but you guys are deciding as a group. And then, yan. You also have video games naman that convert down. So,
mhm.
so, dun
But
sa
there's
mga games nyo, I think ba?
I know there's just some games like Mystic Veil that kind of just needs it.
Yeah,
You,
need a digital version. Yeah. Meron kasi there's just some things that putting something on digital is really the way to go. And then
Hmm.
there's some things that are just really better in physical form. And I think even yung mga digital games that get converted into tabletop, usually you'll see that they don't really try to copy what's happening on the digital platform.
yeah.
Yeah.
and they'll distill that one aspect of the game. And then let's say kunwari meron something yung Fallout na game na ginawa nilang tabletop, they'll get a part of that and then just focus on that. Kasi iba yung kayang gawin ng computer eh.
Hmm.
Iba yung
Yeah.
yung iba lang talaga yung processing.
Yeah.
Like yung mga, 'di ba?
Yeah.
But may tactile experience naman na hindi mo makikita at saka yung interface ng digital, this is where usually I have a problem with some board games na digitize is the interface of one screen is not enough and it becomes very cluttered looking. Whereas if it's on the table, you understand what's happening.
I agree
So
with that. I agree.
So do you have I mean because you so in your game development, so you guys do end to end, right? So it's the
Yes.
full from design to development, execution, delivery in the community support and whatnot. Uh, and do you, is there an interest in also in industry wise to also get into tabletop game design? Are they also asking you, hey, can you guys come up with a board game version of this one and that one? Is
Yes.
that
Yes.
something? Oh, cool.
Surprisingly, though, it's brands and who come to us to ask for that. So, kasi like for example, banks, finance is easier to teach as a tabletop because you can sort of simulate it, and it being tactile and not like digital in a small screen actually helps. So yeah, meron naman. But yeah, usually brands, not really like a as a commercial game. We haven't encountered people asking for like a commercial game yet. We
Okay, okay.
tabletop games na medyo more commercial. But yeah, so far wala pa masyado. It's really brand games that have approached us. I think we've received siguro mga two or three brands who asked for tabletop games na financial related. Yeah.
mhm.
Okay. And I understand the because I also would do some when I need to explain some financial concepts. It feels kinda if you can distill it to a component, oh here's your savings, here's your protection, for example, or kung ano man your investment and whatnot. And so it kind of like simplifies the concept to them. And then you're able to now run through or go through the experience with them, and then you can extract learning a little bit better. You also get to pace it a little bit. I think the challenge with video games is that sometimes there's so many things happening in the background na parang there's a weird disconnect from players. Oh, nandiyan na yan. And you kind of just click through things.
Yeah.
Parang hindi mo entirely nagagets sa yung game loop, but you're like, I think that's how it works. So it's
Actually,
like one of
also
the. Go ahead,
Uh,
Fred.
yeah, it's actually one of the things within the game industry. When we're training like young game designers, usually it's through a tabletop, not like we get
Mm.
to design a tabletop game, not a digital game, because wala kang tago. Like if it's a bad design, it's a bad design. If it's a
It
tabletop game, you know.
it
Kasi,
it
yeah,
Mm, well,
it just
yeah,
breaks.
that's true. Although recently, big companies have been hiding bad design by adding miniatures.
okay.
Yes.
In digital
So
naman
that
usually, it's itago sa
uh
magandang graphics, di ba?
Yeah,
Or
yes, yes.
meron ka lang
tago sa
rules in
toys.
like programming.
Yeah, and big companies have been getting away with it. Honestly, so like wow, like there will be games that you'll see people will be so excited about, but I have this arrived that you will never see them post that they played the game because nadala lang talaga sa Bling. So it's happening on tabletop right now.
Okay,
So
okay.
Yes, yes. And I mean, I think yun nga. I think I appreciate nga na you're measuring the game designer's capability through tabletop. Kasi nga if the game doesn't work, it just breaks. There's no hacking. There's no here's some really nice. I mean, you can. Maganda yung UX, maganda yung pagkakalatag. Sige, then you can give some points there. Pero also, pag designer to ha, pang UI, pang UI tong bata. Pero pagka yung so ito po, naalala ko yung mga pinag-present sa amin ni Sir Freddy. Our game is all about random. Oh, okay. This is gonna be a bad
Oh,
experience. So,
hirap nun.
so it's like, ano
I
siya,
think
parang Monopoly na multiple direction, tapos whatever you flip, random. It's like, okay, what is this game? Yeah, you were saying.
But actually, I think kasi some people forget na the main or a big part of why people play tabletop is really because of the camaraderie and people being there, you being physically there with other friends, and yun yung nawawala most of the time when you convert it to digital. So yun, I think that's something that people have to also remember na it may be convenient to have a digital version, but you lose things like those, diba?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One of the very popular ports nga was StarCraft. So it's an out of print already. It is different. It's really more of like a dudes on the map and then big, expansive 4X game. So it plays a lot slower than the StarCraft edition. However, yun nga, it is about miniatures, so you get to see all of those toys and still rolling dice. But when you come up with a unique, fast to execute and really concise game experience, and then you have it in tabletop form. What people don't realize is, the main component of tabletop games are people. They're the main instrument that we're trying to to design around and to encourage you. Do motivation theories to figure out what is the best approach to coax them towards this decision and versus that decision.
That's true.
Even though
That's
pa Even though sometimes, diba, parang pag tinignan mo, pag kinompute mo ang score, galing ha, talagang magkakalapit tayo. She's like, yeah, we know. Kinompute namin lahat yun. Eh. Ganun talaga. Hindi talaga pagka naglumayo yan, may mali kaming ginawa eh. Bakit lumayo yung score nun? Anong factor yon at lumayo sila? But because I think also, although nowadays, no, in video games, tumataas yung parang really difficult games. It's kind of going back to that old school era of it's just you, and then you're trying to just repeat and repeat until you get that skill or you memorize how to do things. And so that pan super hard video games, hindi ko siya masyado nakikita sa tabletop. Sa tabletop parang kulang ako ng oras. Kailangan masaya na to agad. Tapos, paikli ng paikli yung what used to be 2 hours, normal, 1 hour, normal. Ngayon, 30 minutes, ayan, sige. Try natin yung 30 minutes na Tapos 4x ang ini-expect, di ba? 4x, 30 minutes, paano natin yun makukuha? So, but yeah. So, and it are there new designs you guys are cooking up? Is there
yes.
I
Actually, yeah.
in
We have
in your
ayun,
go ahead.
sorry. May delay sa akin. So, I'm sorry. Pagka
No,
nagsa-start,
no
from
worries, no
you
worries.
start, may delay sa internet natin. But yes, we have, we do have a game that's a Tailcraft version that is in the works right now. The illustrations have just been finished. So, nasa na kami ngayon, layout. And then after that, we'll go into printing na. It's the Kinder deck. This is the Tailcraft for younger people.
Nice. Ayun oh. Grabe yung timing oh.
Yeah, so this year we're
Galing
planning to
ng
release
timing.
Kinder decks.
Very
Yeah,
good, thank
Kinder
you.
deck for summer, and then Filipiniana deck for the later half of the year.
Yun.
Nice. Nice.
Yung comment ni
Ah,
Desky about the mindset of a digital version. For board games at least. This is for board games. He said that I have always had the mindset that you get a digital version of a tabletop game
If you're a
as a
solo
solo
player.
player. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I have a
yeah.
copy of Splendor on my cell phone, which I play on the plane. So
Yeah.
ganun ko ginagamit siya. But if I really want to play Splendor, I'd play with it with the other people. So I really only play my cell phone when I'm alone. Yung mga digital version ng board games. Uh, but I will ito yun. This is just personal, and I will not say anything bad about people who want to play
Ito na.
board games physical
This
by
is
themselves.
ito
There's
na.
nothing wrong with that.
This
If
is
you
gonna be
enjoy,
against me.
it's just not something that I do. And if
Ito
it's
na, the personal attack.
with somebody else. Pero yung mga, yun nga, if it's on my phone, I'm perfectly fine. On the plane, I'll play it. Di ba? So may ganun eh. May ganung factor for me at least. But I know there's
Yes.
really people who are
So
solo. By the way, Tailcraft
uh,
can be played solo perfectly.
yes,
Yes, yes.
yes.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you just want to create a story, let's say dungeon master ka or something, I don't know, you want to start, you know, get inspiration, get random cards, create a story from there. Uh, and it's very structured. Yeah, it's very structured. You have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yep. Yep. And you're able to craft your story. I think the pandemic really magnified to gaming yung solo
Mhm.
na player count. Uh, Mainly because even after the pandemic, everything is like, hyper busy.
Yeah.
So even that where let's say you're traveling or you're stuck in traffic or you have these moments where I wish I could be playing, but sometimes you also don't want that. Oh, it's another screen. Because if I'm gonna play on my phone, the likelihood of social media taking over that
Yeah.
moment is much higher.
And
Pagka sumakses ka, di ba?
and I
Right.
guess
Pag
like
name,
to the other end din naman, like as the solar player being attacked right now. Okay. Medyo contemplative
Uy,
din to play like
I play solo.
no, like I play like full
Uy.
Agricola campaigns. I used to play like ten Agricola games over like in a
Oh my
month,
gosh.
like alone. Kasi it's a competitive,
Wow.
contemplative practice. Parang ano lang, like sometimes you just want to
Yeah,
feel the
it
mechanics of
is.
it.
Yeah, it is. There's some sort of like meditative aspect to
Mm.
it because in essence you're seeing that storyline pan out. But what I also try to I the so yesterday I showed I was painting the Gloomhaven buttons and bugs. It's the
Mm.
solo
Oh yeah.
tiny edition of buttons and bugs, and I painted the minis na hindi na siya minis, nanos.
Micros.
It's so tiny. They're so tiny talaga. So I barely painted them. They just smudged into one single color. So, but at least I can recognize them on the card. But I also did a playthrough, and I was like, okay, at least when I do playthroughs, gawin ko na lang siyang content. Kasi sayang naman, no? Ako lang mag-isa, ako lang natutuwa. So, i-share ko na lang sa iba yung ginagawa ko. Okay, so Tailcraft will have Kinder and Filipiniana. Um, cool. I think definitely we're excited to see that more Tailcraft, more designs. Yun nga, if they're from your team, from your group, because I think one of the conversations last week we had with Origame, the big publisher in Singapore, is he had a comment about so we have a good growth in terms of community. So on the community side of things, we have Bacon. It's something we started noong 2017. Just as a random idea, sabi ko, oy, marami na tayong game groups. So pag nag-invite ka ng 10, o makaka-50 na tayo, laban na yan. Convention na yan, di ba? So that's how it started. April 1st was the date we chose, just so that in case na walang pumunta, we can just say, oh, April Fools. But hindi siya 50, nag-100 siya day 1. And nung time na yun talaga, one day lang siya. I wasn't intending it pa for 2 days, and then the next Bacon, 2 days sa kami. And the next one, and then pandemic happened. So na-stop siya for a couple of years. And then 2022, we were able to pick it up. like as if we did leave. It was just like game, and people were really excited. Yun nga, the tabletop feeling is not just on this table that we're playing in, magnified siya. Yung when you, the feeling of bacon is the enjoyment of having a game with everybody here, and then now 100 tables all doing the same thing, and now the enjoyment really magnifies, and it's buzzing with noise, and people are excited about everything, trying about different things and whatnot. So it's really a convention that's growing. But nung nagsimula kami makapag-invite ng publishers, talaga nag-pick up din yung resonance ng tabletop to more people. So I think the ask nga niya, the publisher of our game, is that sana mas marami pa mag-publish sa Philippines. Kasi the more publishers that are venturing and pushing out games, then the stronger the base will become. Kasi here from a community standpoint, ang I guess yung kulang niya is new sources of inspiration. I'm not sure. What do you guys think of that? What are your thoughts on more publishers will eventually drive a bigger market in the Philippines?
We do need a more vibrant market. Parang yun yung idea nun na parang there's more to, kasi even when representing the Philippines abroad, parang di ba, it's always just us. Parang ganun yung tendency. So it's a sign of a healthy market. It's a sign of a healthy, parang the people who play, the hobbyists, the enthusiasts, are interested enough to delve into actually designing games and making it their own.
Yeah, and I think also it's also good for like as an innovation of the tabletop industry also to look into markets that are not normally our market. For example, one good example was what Nintendo did with the Wii back in the day, 'di ba? When they suddenly released the vertical remote control, and all of a sudden the non-gamers are playing, and it's a big jump in revenue for the game industry. And eto, I'll give you a little tidbit lang, which is quite interesting. This one is for sa digital side, kasi we can put analytics on the digital side, so we know. Normally, if you think about it, ang digital games, the games are played by like teenagers, young people, and usually predominantly male. But it's not true. We've noticed based on the analytics is half half. There's about half, mga 50% are female players, and ang daming older players. It's not really the younger ones. Except we noticed na they don't self-identify as gamers. For example, we've noticed now we have a very large female gaming population, paying gaming population. Except when you talk to them, ang lagi nilang sagot is, ay, hindi ako gamer, Candy Crush lang nilalaro ko. Except they pay for Candy Crush. And sometimes these young people who identify as gamers have not paid a single cent on their free-to-play game. So may ganyan. So my point is, let's look at like markets na normally we don't actually look at, di ba? Kasi merong isang profile tayong tinitingnan. These are our friends in the tabletop gaming industry. But there's a bigger market out there, especially now when you think about it na because of pandemic, people have felt the need talaga for community, for being with people, doing activities with other people. Tabletop is perfect for that, and you don't have to be like a self-identified gamer to enjoy a tabletop game.
Right.
Maybe we can have mga a little, I mean, siguro more casual games or games for a different age range or ganon. Yun.
Yeah, agree. And I think, yun nga we have been doing sort of the more mass market type of reach in terms of larong atin's designs. Watch list is sort of this 5-minute party game where you're trying to find the targets, and you're doing Pinoy Henyo style of, oh, mataba ba to? Malaki? And then being able to identify the person, and hopefully not do mistaken identities. Thomas's hugot. So yung hugot, So there, hugot. So of course, nakailang reprint na, sabi niya dito, last na raw to. Ay, hindi ako naniniwala. Hindi ako naniniwala na magiging
One of the
nasa
things
siya.
that I've also noticed recently, because we grew up, we were young when we started gaming. We grew up, we have children, and a lot of gamer parents like to play with their kids. So
Mm,
maybe it's also another market, like games that can be played by different age range together. Mga ganon.
yeah, yeah. And I think more companies dabbling into this, I think would definitely help. Sabi nung research, nasa 50 million daw yung market, dollar, yung market sa Philippines ng tabletop. Sabi ko talaga. So feeling namin galing sa pera ata. pero at least may market, di ba? So nandun naman siya. I think definitely in terms of relating, well, one of, nakwento nga namin one of the most popular games in Shopee for tabletop is this game called Susuka pero di susuko, which is this, you draw a card and it just tells you drink, shot,
Yeah.
or yung katabi mo magsha-shot, or sino may cellphone na tumingin sa cellphone kanina magsha-shot, yun na, that's the game. That's the whole game. Nagkaroon siya ng other version which is related nga doon sa cellphone, and it's selling like hotcakes. May resellers pa siya, lahat din yun bumibenta. So galing naman ito. Walang kahirap-hirap. But you'll see it na it starts with a very simple, crude, parang hindi namin to pinag-isipan pero go to, they're now trying to find other jokes, other ideas. So it's ayan, na curious si JJ. Sa publisher ng na-meet ko naman, nice couple, and I think parang pandemic lang din ata, or around that time nila na-design yung game. And they just needed to flesh it out there. So I think that's the ask. And if you guys wanna check out all of the tabletop games, the Larong Atin line, of course, will be there. So Freddy, yung isang publisher ba natin, sa ba natin? Hindi pa. Pwede na ba? Hindi pa rin. Okay. Alrighty. So there you have it. If you want to try out Tailcraft, and of course, get a signed copy. There you go. Miss Ria will be there and her team, and it will be a fantastic time. Try out every game, and don't be afraid. You don't have to know how to play the games. There will be advocates. Hanap lang kayo. Nung may curious ka ba sa board games? So yan. So hanapin nyo lang kung sino may nakaganong shirt, and they will be teaching you how to play, and they will connect you to a table, and it is a fun time, and you'll have 2 days, April 5 and 6 at 18 Missouri. So definitely you guys should go, and if you can, please do register. So, gawa daw ng game. So we can call it. So ito na nga.
Parang nasa chat group yung game na yan, ah.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oo.
Ah,
Hindi kasi yung napagkwentuhan lang yun kasi nga yung dahil dun sa parang prompt game nga na na storytelling. Sabi na, pwede to sa Pinoy, no? Tapos yun lang, yung pinaka-prompt mo, so ito na nga, dot. So, tapos, yung ako
ah,
sa gagawa ng sabi ko, laban yun.
yung, I'd like to go back on Robert's comment.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
gaming groups should push casual games more to help build the community. Definitely. I know a lot of gaming groups really would like to play heavy games. Me included. Yun the people I usually play with kasi gamers na tayo eh. But if you want to expand the community, which is integral, ito, babalik tayo dun sa issue ng bakit there's not a lot of game publishers, tabletop game publishers in the Philippines because there's not a big enough market. Diba? So the casual games is the gateway. Diyan tayo makapagpapasok ng tao into light gaming, and eventually once they're comfortable with that, they get into something heavier and much more meatier, and then eventually baka pag-graduate natin sila to games that we gamers like, kasi hindi it's very daunting for like an uninitiated player to see like, oh, so many tokens on the board. Parang ang daming math ata na kailangan din ah. Kailangan ba ng utak dyan para maglalaro?
Yeah.
So when they're daunted with that, they see cards, miniatures, dice, so many things on the board. Talagang daunting yan sa to most people. That's very daunting. And tayo pang mga Pilipino, takot tayong mag-aral eh.
Yeah.
So if we see
Yes.
something na parang people are playing, na parang, uy, gets ko na ata to ah, mas madali for them to join in. And then we get comfortable with that, dahan-dahan. So it's
Yeah.
important to get that going, grow the market. That way, more publishers can get in on it. The industry grows. Kasi right now,
Yeah.
I'd be, like I said in the previous episode, if I was making money hand over fist doing this, maraming gagaya. Ganun lang naman yun eh. Di ba? We know how Filipino entrepreneurship is. The idea, pagka merong nakita, uy, kumikita yung ano niya, yung milk tea shop niya. 2 blocks away, 1 block away, may magtatayo din. And that's what's going to happen. But they need to see, we need to have a market, we need to grow the market for there to be enough business na merong ibang publishers that can make money on this. Diba? I think right now, the people who are able to do this, like me and Ria, we have other businesses, or even the designers who are into this, they're successful at doing something else. Like Ron makes games, but he has a business. I doubt if any of us can actually make a living doing this.
That is the dream, though. We want to get there.
That is the dream. And when that happens, more of us will come out.
Yeah.
Diba?
Yeah.
Ganun.
Yeah.
But we need to grow the market, and casual games is the way to go, I think, para mapalaki yung market.
Yeah. I have a
It's not yet mature. We're not at the
Want to add
level
to
of,
that?
let's say, definitely not the same level as Europe or Singapore, or pagdating sa Asia, I would say Japan, Taiwan, maybe Singapore a little bit, Thailand in a weird way, surprisingly, because of
Yeah.
very very interesting, a very very interesting thing that Daryl pointed out in the last episode, which I also realized why that happened. Yun nga,
Localization. Yeah.
yeah, because of the localization.
Yep.
Industry. Yeah. So yun. Yes. So the answer to you, Robert, is definitely a yes. Pero ang haba ng sagot ko, no?
Yeah, I think for the advocates, my advice normally is try to bring with your games that you're bringing in a meetup. At least 30% is for general public consumption. 70 is the mid, everybody can play. So the 20% is something na parang if suddenly a newbie. So last week we had may bumalik na visitor that really just passed by. We play in Starbucks Carmona, and they passed by a few months back. Kasi nga na, they tried and played the game. Of course, ang pinalaro ko at that time was Splendor. Kasi palit talaga. Parang may nakalatag na game. Palit. Lipat. Kailangan nyo mabilis may explain. Tapos may toy factor or may wow factor. Kasi at least madali siyang mag-get sila. Tapos may hawak-hawak silang chips. So maganda yung pakiramdam. Tapos pagbalik, tinuro ko na Star Tycoon. So, stock market game na. Kasi okay na eh. Converted na, bumalik na to. Laban na yan. Gusto na niya eh. Diba? Ano na yan, uupo na siya. Tapos yun, they also played yung, story game. And, I think it's really that. Na you have to be flexible. Try to have it in your arsenal so you can, please check out, when you're in Bacon, please check out the larong atin lineup, because definitely we have a lot of games na talagang by design. Nung una, hugot, hindi siya immediately na nag-click kay Sir Freddy. Pero,
Yeah.
no, binuwi niya, yung design ni Tomas, nilapag niya doon sa kusina, maya-maya, puro tawanan na yung nangyari. Kasi yung mga kasama nila sa bahay, binasa, tapos nilaro. And then sabi niya, okay. Okay. So, you have to realize may power talaga siya. And gaming is always really this medium that connects people because it is the system of enjoying, of having fun, and it's something that we all want to experience. We all want to take the joy of gaming, and so yeah, there you go. Ooh, shout out sa Carmona Group. Hey, hello.
I want to add to
So
that also. I think aside
go
from
ahead, go ahead.
like just looking at games as like medyo seryoso ba or casual, look at the demographics that you're targeting. I think it's a good idea to actually create games that target a certain demographic, you know. Also because you understand them, you know. Like for example, example lang, since you brought up Hugot, let's say you wanted to make a game sa mga sawi, all right, okay, so but it's a particular like group that you're targeting and it hits them.
Right.
They understand it. It relates to them, you
Yep.
know. And so I think that's also another thing that you need to like if you're making games, it's good to think of the group that you're targeting instead of just seryoso ba to, casual ba to, but like what do I who do I want to hit, who do I want na patawanin to pa-enjoy pa ganyan, you know. And games kasi, the interesting thing about games, whether tabletop or digital, and we've experienced it's a digital, people play games for different reasons. You know,
Mm,
people think na games are only played because bored ka, but that's not true. Like for example, right now kasi ang big research namin right now is the female gamers. So ang thought nila was most people thought na they might be bored baka nasa bahay walang ginagawa. When we looked at it, that was not the profile. The profile was these were the working women. These were women with with children, ganyan ganyan. And so we tried to like go into like where are they playing? I mean, what's their purpose for playing? And usually they play mga tipong 15 minutes lang and patay na. They play para pangtanggal stress. So yung tipong, you
mm,
know, when everything is overwhelming, at least dito sa game na to, you know, ito lang iisipin ko, medyo, you know, it calms me down, it takes off my stress. So may ganon. And then of course, you know, in tabletop, the one purpose and one big purpose for playing is really community. Kasi I want to
Mhm.
do something with my friends, ganyan ganyan. Even sa RPGs, online RPGs, we found out na a lot of kids, a lot of young people, they go on the RPGs not to play, but they use it like a 3D social media. They're just there to meet their friends, and then they go around together. So may
mm.
mga ganun klaseng ano, if you're creating games, it's good to kumbaga shift perspective a little bit to that way. Na para bang
Mm,
sino sila? Bakit sila maglalaro?
Mhm.
Is it
mm.
because you know they need pang distress, gusto nila community, gusto nila ganun. I don't know if you've heard of yung they have this there's a study on like the four types of gamers. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. 'Di ba?
Yep.
So for those na hindi familiar with the four types of gamers, it's the achievers, the explorers, the socializers and the killers. So iba-iba ang kanilang mga target or the reason for their playing is different. Their motivation for playing is different. So yeah,
Yep.
when you're thinking of designing games, kind of think of that also. Kasi like for example, explorers, most likely si Dwayne is a explorer type. Usually most solo players are explorer types. They like to just go at it on their own. But for example, the achievers and the killers are similar but not. So both of them they like
Mm.
to win, but the other one just likes to win. Period. The other one has to have an opponent. You know, it doesn't work kung wala akong tinalo. Kailangan may kalaban ako. So,
Yes.
may
Uh,
ganyan. You kind of need to
yeah.
look at it. Sino gusto kong tamaan? Who exactly? And when you think of it that way, instead of just serious or casual, it makes the creation, game development fun kasi you're trying to get in their heads. Eh. Yun, yun lang.
Yep. Yep. Fantastic. Yes. Oh my gosh. I think we can probably talk for hours. But so, pero pinrami sa amin na dapat 1 hour. Kaso lumabas na tayo.
Gusto
But
ko
it's super fun. And I know it's quite late. So, super thank you, Ria, for joining. And everyone, if you guys want to try out Tailcraft, and all of the other larong atin games, and every other game that's going to be running in Bacon 2025. Please join us April 5 and 6. Please register so that you can help us with the information just on the logistics and things. And 12 na lang yung natitirang shirts. So please, hindi na namin kaya mag-follow up print. Yun na yun. So please go and order and it's gonna run out. And that's it. So we'll see if we can manage some on site like last year kung mapakiusapan yung printer. So, thank you everyone. Yes, opo, dalawa na lang. Thank you everyone for joining us. Bacon.variableplay.com/2025. I'm gonna post it on the chat link. See you all in Bacon. There you go. So, until next time, thank you everyone. Thank you, Ria, for joining. See you guys. And
Good night.
the scene will just cut. Bye.
Walang outro.